In my daydream, it's a beautiful March morning as a young grandson and his grandpa walk along the water's edge. The sky is a beautiful, beautiful blue, the smell of spring crisp in the air, the seagulls crying in the distance as the waves gently crash upon the shore. Stephen, my son, firmly held on to my dad's hand as he seemed a bit unsteady and fragile on his feet. Stephen giggled as his popsy told him lighthearted jokes. My dad had always been a jester, a joker, always holding the attention of the room, and always had a way of making people feel at ease and joyful. As the water washed over their feet, they left footprints in the sand. One small set, just full of wonder and innocence. The other set larger, full of wisdom and pride. And as they seemed in deep conversation about life, my heart was full of love and longing as I watched this beautiful, yet emotional exchange. Now, I imagine if I could overhear the conversation, it would be somewhat out of the ordinary, because usually it's the elder giving the younger life advice, but not on this day. Stephen, with his beautiful, all-knowing blue eyes, gazed into my dad's tired eyes and said, "Popsy, my mom is upset with you. She's watched you over the years take care of everyone but yourself." And knowing my dad, he would respond with, "She always worries too much. I'm just fine." Knowing deep in his heart, he wasn't. Stephen was right. I was worried about my dad and upset with him because for years I pleaded with him to take better care of himself. My dad was an osteopathic doctor, meaning his schooling was of a whole person approach. He was a healer in our community. He owned his own medical practice in the small town of Medford, New Jersey, where I grew up with 2 older brothers, 2 younger sisters, and a loving mom. Everyone in town knew Dr. Smith because he went above and beyond patient care. I recall him making house calls in the middle of the night, offering weekend and nightly hours to accommodate his patients, and even taking care of some patients' pets. Not kidding. My dad was so kind that he would even barter with patients if they couldn't afford health care. I recall patients bringing food from their garden, making meals for him. He brought them home to our family, but he would never turn anyone away. Stephen continued to lecture my dad in a caring way. He said, Popsy, you never set boundaries. You never took enough time for yourself. You rarely prioritized your own health. Kind of ironic, Popsy, that you healed others and took care of the sick, yet you neglected yourself. You see, my dad was sick, probably for about 4 years, but he hid it from us. But I knew. He was coughing a lot. He was sleeping a lot when he wasn't working. He just wasn't his jovial self. The things he loved to do the most, other than being with his family, were cooking Friday night pizzas and Sunday night Italian meals. Even though he was all German, he loved his Italian meals. But even that started to go by the wayside. His time was limited and his health was failing. And yet, through all the sickness and treatments, he continued to care for his patients and support his loving family. Stephen pressed on just a little more and he questioned him, saying, Popsy, what could you have done differently? As they both knew, you cannot get back time. He said, you're a superhero in my eyes, and in the eyes of so many. Yet the one person you needed to save, you didn't. That's how I imagine the conversation went on March 21st, 2008, as Popsy was greeted into Heaven's Gate by my son, Stephen. Now, the irony of this day was that it was the first day of spring and Good Friday. Spring, a time for new beginnings. Yet it felt like an ending for those of us left behind. Good Friday, a symbol for Christians of Jesus' death on the cross, his ultimate sacrifice. You see, my dad was a man of faith, and he made many sacrifices, including his own health. As my family surrounded my dad's body, Stephen was embracing his spirit in heaven, shaking his little head at my dad as tears streamed down his face. As grandson and grandpa were reunited, our hearts were broken. Now, loss and grief were no stranger to me. Stephen passed away March 2nd, 2002, from a genetic disease called spinal muscular atrophy. Another irony. Stephen could do nothing to save himself. He was not given a choice. He was born this way. Spinal muscular atrophy, or SMA, is a neuromuscular condition that affects our voluntary muscles. So things like holding a bottle, sitting up, crawling, walking, eating, and eventually breathing are affected. 1 in 11,000 babies are born with SMA, and my son was one of them. I'll never forget 2 weeks after September 11th, sitting in the pediatric neurologist's office, as the doctor looked at me and told me my son would most likely not live to celebrate his first birthday. Stephen passed away a day shy of 9 months. Now, the lives of these two males, my son and my dad, have inspired and impacted me today to help others prioritize their health. Most of us have choices, unlike Stephen. Yet, oftentimes we're taking care of everyone else but ourselves and running ourselves ragged. We're working too much, not getting enough sleep, eating fast foods, sitting too long, spending too much time on social media. The list goes on and on. But how is this benefiting our health? And if we want to be able to take care of others, how is it benefiting them? Contrary to what society might teach us or tell us, self-care is actually selfless, not selfish. When we fly, we are told to put our oxygen mask on first. Why do you think that is? So we don't run out of breath trying to save others. Studies show that over 40% and possibly even higher of deaths can be prevented by simple lifestyle changes. Today, this caduceus that hung on my dad's medical building, a sign of medicine and health, hang on my wall as a reminder that it's important, critical to say yes to ourselves first. Now, that might not always be easy or convenient to do. Saying yes to more movement throughout the day, saying yes to foods that nourish us, saying yes to getting outside and getting sunshine and spending time with friends, saying yes to setting boundaries with others. But by saying yes to ourselves first, that may allow us a longer, healthier life with those that we truly love. So, some questions to ask you today. When you think about your own health, how are you prioritizing it? What are the things you are doing each day to say yes to yourself first? Or perhaps are you living a lifestyle like my dad, fast and furious, ignoring the warning signs? You matter. You are loved. You are worth every second, every penny you invest into your health. But you must be proactive and not reactive, because we cannot get back time. Whose hand do you want to be holding as you stroll along the beach, as you grow older? How do you want to feel? And what are you willing to do today to make that happen? Now, I don't know if my dad would have made any different choices in his life, but as his daughter who loved him, who was my hero, I wish he prioritized his health so that maybe I could still be holding his hand. Thank you.